What's going on, guys? It is April 10th at approximately 12:20 in the afternoon. What's going on, guys? It is Reed Orlando here with another episode of Reed SPN's Sports Podcast. Today, I'm starting off the day a little rough. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm very upset with the whole TJ Dillashaw news. Now, I'm also starting off the day rough because I haven't shaved and I absolutely look like total garbage. Besides that, TJ Dillashaw, after all these years of being a fan of his, right? He never tested positive once for anything. A lot of his old teammates at Team Alpha Male, they always were saying that, TJ was taking steroids and he was showing people on the team how to use steroids properly. That's word for word what Cody Garbrandt said. And even after getting knocked out by Henry Cejudo, he went on Rogan's podcast saying he got his body weight down naturally and how he put all this work in. And he's been working with Sam Calavita, who at Training Lab, who has a lot of high-end combat sports athletes, Olympic-level athletes like David Taylor, Aaron Pico, Juan Archuleta, a couple of really high-level fighters and a bunch of high-level combat sports athletes. Now, this morning, Sam Calavita came in and he didn't condemn TJ Dillashaw, but he said that that's not what the Training Lab is about. No, he's the first athlete to ever test positive. That TJ Dillashaw is the first person out of his camp to ever test positive for a banned substance like EPO or any sort of steroid. But the bottom line is this. I just can't believe that this whole time his career not been a lie because, listen, the skill set is all there, but EPO clearly does give you an advantage over a bunch of opponents. Now, EPO, for those of you that are wondering, you cannot take it in a supplement. You cannot ingest EPO. You have to physically get a needle in your arm or in your ass or somewhere like that, and the EPO will be injected into you. So that's why he is suspended for 2 years. It's not a tainted supplement case that we have going on. It's TJ Dillashaw actually taking EPO. And as a fan of TJ Dillashaw's, I'm very upset by it. I mean, my biggest question here is, did Dwayne Ludwig know this? Who was the one that was administering EPO into TJ Dillashaw? He had to have been super stealth to be able to get this administered to him by anyone. Now, I don't know who is the culprit behind this, but I know TJ Dillashaw is not working by himself doing all this. But back to the Sam Calavita thing, he pretty much said that none of his athletes ever tested positive for it. So he's pretty much saying that he's happy that USADA is doing their job. And it really gives a black cloud over that whole training camp. Not that whole training camp, that whole, I guess you could call it a training camp. It puts a black cloud over their head because no one person tests positive. Now they look at the other fighters and they go, something's going on here, which nothing is going on there, in my personal opinion. Sam Calavita is leaps and bounds ahead of everyone in terms of physical training and how to get your body peaking at the right moments so you could be able to fight at your optimal level in any sort of combat sport. And it's been proven with David Taylor, world champion this year. Aaron Pico, he did just get knocked out, but still, absolute phenom. Juan Archuleta. So it's definitely a weird situation for TJ Dillashaw now. Now it all makes sense why he relinquished the belt so quick. He will be suspended for 2 years. And why am I drawing a blank on his name? Jeff Nowitzki even came out and said that this is one of the worst tests that he's found, and that is why he's giving him the initial 2-year ban, because I'm pretty sure that's what the ban is if it is not a tainted supplement and it cannot be proved that it's a tainted supplement. So USADA made this decision pretty quick, and I'm going with them. I really believe that TJ Dillashaw did take EPO. Certainly a heartbreaker. Cody Garbrandt came out with all those tweets, and he's not making excuses for it, which I respect him for losing those fights. He said he fought dumb, and that's the reason really why he got knocked out. But man, it definitely puts a black cloud over TJ Dillashaw's legacy because what I'm thinking is going to happen now is USADA is going to go back on a lot of his old samples, and I think they're going to find EPO in almost all of his urine tests and all of his blood tests because it's hard to detect right away. But once it's detected, they can find it in the bloodstream. It's very confusing, USADA, but what they do is they find out what you took, when you took it, how much of it is in your body. So, yeah, it's definitely an uphill battle for TJ Dillashaw. in all this, I really feel bad for Dwayne Ludwig and Sam Calavita, because I don't think that they knew that TJ was taking anything. I really don't. I think Dwayne Ludwig's too busy with his martial arts school and just working with TJ Dillashaw, trying to figure out all these crazy combinations with him, that I just don't think that he or anyone really knew that he was taking steroids. There is going to be someone, I can almost guarantee that we will find out later on that someone was administering this to TJ. Who knows what's going to happen, but right now, TJ Dillashaw is definitely screwed. It's definitely a heartbreaker. But anyways, now more on to the lighter end of things. Just going to go over some news. That's definitely not going to be as big as the TJ Dillashaw news. There's no news out there right now that's as big as that. So let's just get it started. Now, Bellator is returning to Madison Square Garden in June. Now, I'm not too sure if this is the main event, but right now on their website, it's showing that it's the main event. We have Lyoto Machida versus Chael Sonnen, two UFC vets. Lyoto Machida, former UFC light heavyweight champion, former middleweight title challenger, I should say. And then we have Chael Sonnen, who's fought for the belt multiple times, wasn't able to beat Anderson Silva. But this should be a really good. That should be a really good fight. Two older guys. I think that this fight makes sense, and that's the thing about Bellator signing a lot of these out of prime fighters, these older out of prime fighters, is that they can match them up with each other, and that should be a good fight. Honestly, I'm excited to see that. Lyoto Machida looked great in his last fight, and Chael, he did get knocked out by Fedor. But it's been a while since then, so I'm definitely looking forward to this fight. Jimmy Rivera versus Peter Yan is official for UFC 238. That is a good fight. Peter Yan has been on the rise. He's had 2 big wins in a row, beating John Dodson and I think it was Silva de Andrade, who was on like a 4-fight winning streak before Peter Yan beat him. Peter Yan is no joke. He's another Russian guy, great wrestler. He's a pressure fighter. He'll pressure you. He'll throw a couple of punches and he'll shoot for a takedown. He mixes it up really well with his wrestling and his striking, which is why he's been able to get 2 giant wins in a row and why he's at the point where he now will face Jimmy Rivera, who I believe is number 5 right now in the bantamweight division. Michael Chiesa versus Diego Sanchez. That is booked for UFC 239. Now, that is going to be a good fight. That's a welterweight bout. Right off the bat, I'm definitely going to pick Chiesa in this one. Even though Diego Sanchez looked phenomenal in his last fight, I think Chiesa is the better striker. And in all honesty, I think Chiesa is the better grappler. That one-arm guillotine that Chiesa pulled off in his last fight against Carlos Condit, who, mind you, is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, that was so impressive to me, and that was his debut fight at welterweight. Say what you want about Michael Chiesa, whether you don't like his personality, you think he complains a lot, he's still a bad motherfucker, and he is one of the best grapplers in the welterweight division, one of the best grapplers in the UFC. So that should be a good fight. Now, Ryan Bader, he just signed a multi-fight deal with Bellator, which is awesome because right now Ryan Bader sits there as the light heavyweight champ and the heavyweight champion of the world in Bellator right now. Now, he's probably going to fight Czech Congo next. That's where it's looking. But honestly, a fight that I would really like to see as a fan is him versus that Russian guy, Vitaly Minakov. Vitaly Minakov did just lose to Czech Congo, but he was also on a 3 or 4 year layoff, I believe, or a 2.5, 3 year layoff. So that would be definitely a marquee fight. We'll see what happens in the light heavyweight division right now. I think it's maybe they'll throw him Lyoto Machida. Who really knows what's going to happen in the light heavyweight? I really don't know everyone in the light heavyweight division in Bellator right now, but I do know that Ryan Bader's kicking the shit out of everyone, and he found his home in Bellator. In the UFC, he really wasn't even getting a lot of respect for a while. I remember there was one point in his career. Now let me just go to his Sherdog so I can make sure I get this right. There was a point in his career when Daniel Cormier first won the belt against Anthony Johnson, and Ryan Bader was on a 4 or 5 fight winning streak. He beat, who did he beat? Before getting knocked out by Anthony Johnson. Ryan Bader, I thought, was right there in the mix for a title shot. It was, who was it that he beat where? It was the same night as DC. It wasn't 174, but whatever it is. UFC 192 versus Rashad Evans. When he beat him, he was currently on a 5-fight winning streak, beating Anthony Perosh, Rafael Cavalcante, OSP, Phil Davis, who people forget how good Phil Davis was in the UFC. And then he beat Rashad Evans. So I remember that was that post-fight press conference at UFC 192, and Daniel Cormier just straight up disrespected Ryan Bader, calling him a scrub, and he's not an Olympian and all this shit. And Ryan Bader was always getting disrespected in the UFC. And he really shouldn't have this whole time. Looking down at his list, we have, I'm just going to show you the notable names that he's beaten in his career so far. Vinny Magalhaes is tearing it up right now in PFL. He lost in the finals, but still, Keith Jardine, Antonio Nogueira. And this is, mind you, back at UFC 119 when Nogueira wasn't as old as he is now. Rampage Jackson, Vladimir Matyusenko, Anthony Perosh, Rafael Cavalcante, OSP, Phil Davis, Rashad, Alir Latifi. Alir Latifi's right now number 6 in the UFC. I believe he's number 6 ranked in the light heavyweight division. Nogueira again, Phil Davis again, Linton Vassell, King Mo, Matt Mitrione, Fedor. He is one of the best light heavyweight fighters of all time. Now, take it how you want. I'm not saying he's in the same level as John Jones and Daniel Cormier, but I will say this. I will say that I would love to see a fight between Ryan Bader and Daniel Cormier. Now, that's not going to happen, obviously, because he just signed that multi-fight deal. But I think that it's really the best, I could say, best 4 light heavyweights, and these are not the new up-and-comers like Dominic Reyes, like Johnny Walker. I think the 4 best light heavyweights in the world, starting at number 1, is obviously John Jones, number 2, DC, number 3, Alexander Gustafsson, and number 4, Ryan Bader. And you can argue that Ryan Bader is better than Alexander Gustafsson. I just don't think so in overall skill set, but he's still in that top 5 pound-for-pound in the light heavyweight division in any major organization. So definitely excited to see who they throw Ryan Bader up against next. I think it's going to be Czech Congo. But they could do a lot with Ryan Bader because of how good he is at light heavyweight and heavyweight. In other news, Ross Pearson just retired. Ross Pearson had 26 fights in the UFC. Ross Pearson was a heavy kicker. He had a lot of power, Ross Pearson. He's just getting older, and I can understand why he'd want to retire. Hell of a fighter. Glad he doesn't need to fight anymore. Just he was a tough guy, Ross Pearson. And one thing, and honestly, the thing that stands out to me the most about Ross Pearson, I don't know if he's going to want to be remembered by this, but it's when he got robbed against Diego Sanchez back at Fight Night, New Mexico. Now, Diego, I thought, was getting his ass kicked by Ross Pearson, and they somehow gave Diego the decision in that fight. Ross Pearson definitely got robbed in that one. I think after that fight, he would have been a top 15 contender. And was this at lightweight at that time? Because Diego Sanchez bounced in he's bounced around in almost every single weight class. But anyways, now this weekend we have the main event. We have Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. And in the co-main event, we have... why am I drawing a blank on this right now? Why am I drawing a blank on this? I'm an idiot. And then Kelvin Gastelum and Israel Adesanya. I'm retarded for that one. I don't know what happened there. Total brain fart. Like, not like I haven't been trying to break these fights down. Now I'm going to do a breakdown of the co-main and main event. Probably get it out to you tomorrow, midday around there, right when I get out of work. But I had to speak on the whole TJ Dillashaw news. And in other words, one of the most stacked cards of the year, and this is maybe one of the most stacked cards of all time, is looking like UFC 239. UFC 239 is not even slowly, it's fastly shaping up to be a phenomenal card. So let me see if I can pull up the full... so right now we have the main event, the announced bouts. Here's what we got. We got Diego Sanchez, Michael Chiesa, which I talked about. Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Askren. Is that announced? Is that official? I didn't know that was official yet. Or did I? I thought they were talking about it. I didn't know it was official yet. I don't know if they signed it on paper yet, but it's showing on Wikipedia that that's an announced bout, so fuck it. It's official. That's an awesome fight. Light heavyweight, we got Jan Blachowicz versus Luke Rockhold. And then heavyweight, we have Francis Ngannou versus Junior Dos Santos. And then the 2 title fights, we have Amanda Nunes versus Holly Holm to see if Amanda Nunes is the greatest female fighter of all time, which she is currently right now. But Holly Holm has a habit of having these giant upsets like we saw with Ronda Rousey. And I also think that Holly Holm should have been a 2-division weight class. I thought she beat Jermaine Durandame when they first fought for that featherweight strap. And I think at least Durandame should have gotten a point or 2 points taken away for hitting late after the belt. So that's going to be a really good fight, and that's really a legacy fight for both of these fighters. If Holly Holm's able to beat her, I mean, she's the ultimate upset queen, and that's really what it comes down to. And if Amanda Nunes wins handedly, Amanda Nunes is hands down the greatest female fighter of all time, which I would consider her that now anyways because of what she did to Cyborg. But that is going to be an awesome, awesome fight. Can't wait to see that one. And then we have John Jones versus Thiago Santos. Good fight, but honestly, Thiago Santos right now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's only on a 2-fight winning streak at light heavyweight right now. Because when I know for a fact his last middleweight bout was against David Branch, who, mind you, David Branch is falling in some tough times at the moment. But David Branch, no, he won more after that. He beat, okay. So after getting knocked out by David Branch last April, almost a year ago from today, a year and 11 days ago from today, he went on a 4-fight win streak, beating Kevin Holland, who was a newcomer to the UFC. And Kevin Holland's good. He did win his Tuesday Night Contender Series fight, but that's not going to propel you into the top 15 of any weight class. Then he beat Eric Anders, who's good. And then at light heavyweight, he only went 2-0. He knocked out Jimmy Manuwa, and then he TKO'd Jan Blachowicz, who Jan Blachowicz previously beat him, if I'm not mistaken. So, do I think he's willing for a title shot? No. I think Corey Anderson, realistically, should be next for a title shot. Now, let's just pull up Corey Anderson's Sherdog. Corey Anderson's been, since he lost to, what's his name? Since he lost to Jimmy Manuwa and since he lost to Ovince St. Preux, he's looked great. I mean, he did lose to OSP, but I thought he was beating OSP in that fight. He just beat Pat Cummings. He just beat Glover Teixeira, and he just handily beat Ilir Latifi. Don't necessarily think you should be giving the title shot to Thiago Santos, but whatever. He's a threat. He's got power. He's got explosive power and can put you out one shot. That's a threat to anyone at any weight class. So it'll be a decent fight. Obviously, I think John Jones is going to win, hands down. So, anyways, that's it. I just wanted to talk a little bit about MMA. Been a very sad last couple of days for me. I've always been a big TJ Dillashaw fan. I was watching live when he beat Renan Barão the first time, and I was like, holy shit, this guy is next level. He was that new age martial artist who was good at everything. He had a base in everything pretty much, and he just continued to develop through Dwayne Ludwig's system, which is the most complex striking system in all of MMA. I don't care what anyone says. Just a bummer. I think that TJ's skill set is all there, but it's going to be tainted for probably forever because of this EPO. Not even an accusation. This EPO of him testing positive for EPO. I don't know what happened there. The words weren't coming out. It's not early in the morning, but it's early for me. It's my day off. I'm sipping a little coffee, sitting there in my Super Bowl 50 Denver Broncos Super Bowl shirt. When I went to Colorado, I bought it. Phenomenal day. But anyways, thanks, guys, for tuning in to Read SPN Sports Podcast. I appreciate you guys for listening, and hopefully we'll get more news out there by tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be some more news coming out there in the MMA world, but I'm going to do a breakdown of the co-main and main event for UFC 236. And again, that is headlined by Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway for the interim lightweight belt. And the co-main event, we have an interim title fight for the middleweight belt between Kelvin Gastelum and Israel Adesanya. Awesome fights. Definitely tune in. The undercard's pretty good too, but really the co-main and main event are the biggest fights of the night, which typically they are, but you know what I mean. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. Have a nice day.